What I'm about to give you is so much more than a few tips and ideas. I have trained tens of thousands of entrepreneurs in over 100 countries, many of whom are millionaires today. I was asked by 2 countries to train their top businesses. So today I'm going to extract all of that experience and I'm going to condense it down into the 7 most important, most life-changing techniques to living the life of your dreams. Number 1, believe that you can and will succeed. My students asked me, Seth, I need your brutally honest answer. And I said, what's that? And she said, do you believe I can succeed at this? And I replied, yes, absolutely. But the more important question is, do you believe that you will succeed? You see, the number 1 enemy of your success, it's not your parents, the economy, your spouse, your upbringing, your school, the size of your bank account. The number 1 enemy, the one that has taken down more entrepreneurs than any other, is not believing that you have what it takes to succeed. It's that self-doubt where you say, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, I don't have the desire. Well, Seth, that sounds great, but if I struggle with self-doubt and lies, how do I believe? It's actually really simple. You begin by giving yourself permission to believe. Instead of fighting negative thoughts, which will only make them stronger, you recognize them, you smile at them, and then you replace them with something called visualization. Because it's easier to replace something than it is to kill something. And that brings us to my second point. Number 2, visualize your preferred future. Visualization is actually a very powerful but simple concept. What it does is it leverages the most persuasive parts of your brain, your vision, what you see. It leverages your vision and retrains your mind to think in a way that allows you to succeed. Nothing destroys the enemy of disbelief faster than visualization. How do you do it? Very simple. Every day, just take 5 minutes. Close your eyes, actually, when you do this, and think about where you want to be, who you are with, how much is in your bank account, who you're investing in, who you're helping. This visualization, just 5 minutes a day with eyes closed, will begin to train your brain to start removing negative thoughts and replacing them with the truth. You can do this. It's a funny thing, but it's like we take all of our baggage since we were young and we allow it to give our mind subtle excuses for not succeeding. What visualization does is it retrains your brain, your subconscious, which is an extremely powerful weapon when you are trying to succeed in life. Number 3, give yourself time and grace. There is no right or wrong speed at building your dreams. Some people, they work on it full-time, 8 to 10 hours a day. Others, they're just taking 20 to 30 minutes a day because they have a family, a couple jobs, other responsibilities. One of my favorite quotes comes from Dave Ramsey. He says, live like no one else, so that someday you can live like no one else. When you are working on your goals and your dreams, while your friends and family are out there watching TV or out partying, just remember that someday you're going to show up at that party with the margin and cash flow to do whatever you want because you put in the time consistently. But you have to show yourself grace. You have to give yourself time. Success in reaching your goals does not happen overnight. What happens is you rearrange your life in a way so that the daily things you're doing will get you the results that you want. And that brings me to number 4. Be consistent. Consistency beats quantity every time. In fact, I recommend you set aside time each weekday to work on your dreams and your goals, and then a little more time on the weekends. How much time? It's totally up to you. I work with people who have 2 full-time jobs, and so they decide to build a business that allows them to have the dreams they want on the side, and they just give it a little bit of time every day. Some of them make over $100,000 a month, not because they put in a huge gobs of time at one point, but they were consistent over a long period of time. You do this at your own pace. You adjust your steps to reaching your goals to your life. The key is not how much time, but that you be consistent. I'm a tap dancer. I love dancing. And when I was spending 3 hours practicing 2 times a week, it exhausted me. And I noticed that the last 2 hours of my practice was not nearly as productive. When I started practicing just 30 minutes a day, my skills advanced much faster until I was doing single foot wings. Number 5, own your success and your mess ups. If you want to succeed, you must be willing to fail along the way. I don't know a single successful person on the entire planet who did not fail lots on their path to success. How many shots did Michael Jordan and LeBron James have to miss before they became phenomenal basketball players? Just like you take credit for your success, you gotta take credit for your failures. The book of Proverbs says that a righteous man will fall 7 times and keeps getting up again. The only time you lose is when you give up, not when you fall. So you gotta become okay with mess ups along the way. Like, this is how you grow. The massive advantage you have today is there is so much information now on whatever your goal is. You wanna become a great golfer, you wanna be a tap dancer, you wanna become an Amazon seller, you want your relationships to flourish. You're not lacking in resources. The key is that you be willing to mess up. But if you're a perfectionist, if you're raised in a home where every time you did something wrong or out of line, you got in trouble, and so you kind of brought that into your adulthood subconsciously, and you feel like a failure when you miss something or you fail on a test or you mess up, you've got to change that thinking and allow yourself to realize, wait a minute, I'm going to mess up. In fact, if I want success, the path there has lots of failures along the way. It's okay to mess up. Accept that, because that is how you're going to learn how to succeed. In fact, sometimes you'll mess up 10 times, and then boom, one day you get it, and boom, your rocket takes off, and you have that turning point where you start to really see your dreams happen. Number 6, become friends with risk and ambiguity. Something I've noticed is that a lot of new entrepreneurs or people trying to work on their dreams really struggle with these 2 things, risk and ambiguity. I want you to consider them your 2 new friends, because the life of an entrepreneur includes both calculated risk and lots of ambiguity along the way. And that is how you take advantage of opportunities and turn them into money. That's why entrepreneurs make so much more money than the rest of the world, because they're the only ones willing to take risks. Now, I'm not talking about dumb risks like swimming in a swamp of hungry alligators. I'm not talking about gambling risks like putting your hard-earned money into a machine when you know your chances of winning are 1 in 100. I'm talking about calculated risk. A willingness to take the facts, leverage those facts, act on those facts, and build whatever it is that you need. But you're gonna have to let go of predictability and security so you can end up with far more security when you cash out big. One of our students left his regular job. He started living on his savings, and he joined our training, our membership for Amazon sellers. Now, that right there is a major dose of risk. He left a stable, well-paying job, and every day he's eating up his savings. Risk. He has no way of knowing if this whole Amazon thing is gonna work or not. Ambiguity. Here's what happened. He opened his new Amazon account. He did not follow our step-by-step instructions, and his account got suspended. So naturally frustrated, he appealed their decision, and they responded stating he did not provide enough info. So he re-appealed, and this process continued for 2 months. Now at this point, he's beginning to feel it. Did I just make the wrong decision? Did I just do the dumbest thing on the planet? Finally, after 60 days of waiting, Amazon approved his account. The first product he launched did not go well. Second product he launched broke even. The third product he launched, he is now doing over $300,000 a month on that product in all its variations. Now, if you were in his shoes and you knew that you would have to wait 60 days just to get your Amazon seller account approved while you're living off of your savings, would you do it? If you knew you'd make $300,000 a month, maybe you would, but see, he didn't know. He didn't know if he'd succeed or not. He didn't know if this whole Amazon thing was gonna work. He was living in risk and ambiguity, and the one thing that kept him going is he believed. He believed he would succeed, and he was willing to fall on his face on the path to getting there. You've got to be willing to fall, because it is part of the process, and that means risk and ambiguity become your friend. So let me give you a 7th one, and I saved this one for the last for a reason. Be a tree planter, not a fruit picker. The idea is you build a life that works for you instead of you being a slave to it. One of our students loves rock climbing. He worked insane hours for a company. He saved up his money, and then he would go rock climbing around the world. But the problem is this would deplete his savings. He'd then have to go find another job, and his hours were horrendous. So he joined our team. We taught him step by step. He wisely took his time picking products. You see, here's how a fruit picker works. He goes out, he sees an apple, he's like, man, that looks good, and he grabs it and he eats it. He's a consumer. But a tree planter or an orchard builder is very different. What they do is they get one apple, they extract the seeds, and they use those seeds to plant an entire team of trees. Now, the funny thing is when you plant an apple tree, would you go out the next month into your backyard where you planted it and say, hey, where's the apples? No, you wouldn't expect it. You have to water it, you have to fertilize it, you have to give it sun, and you're not getting any results out of it. It's kind of like raising a kid. You raise your kid for the first many years of their life, and you don't get much return on that benefit until they're older and wiser to actually love you back as a friend. So you're investing all your time in this tree and you're not getting anything out of it. But one day it begins to grow its own apples. And you know what's amazing about trees? Once their roots are deep, they need far less pampering, fertilizing, and watering because the roots are so deep in the ground, it's established. And all of a sudden, the roles have switched. You're no longer spending so much time investing in that tree or your orchard. You're now living off of the fruit from the orchard because you thought long term. That is how successful people live. They decide where they want to go. I love this practice. I will sit down with my family, we will have a whiteboard, and we will sit there and dream, where would I love to go? What would I love to buy? Who would I love to be with? Who would I love to train or invest in? Like it's an amazing practice because what happens is when we do this, all of a sudden the mind says, oh, well, do we have enough money? Do we have enough time? Do we have enough resources? And you stop and say, wait a minute, we're just gonna pretend there's no limit on money. There's no limit on resources. And we just dream. Man, I'd love to have a house in Colombia. Man, I'd love to give back to this organization that helps children. Man, wouldn't it be amazing if we could travel to Europe once a year or have a house there we rent out and live there and train Amazon sellers in that area of the world? Like all of a sudden, when you assume there's no lack of resources, you begin to visualize where you want to go. And then you reverse engineer it so that you can become a tree planter. You start planting seeds today that your future self will thank you for. When Jeff Bezos worked for this company on Wall Street, he came up with this crazy idea back in the mid-90s that he was going to start an online bookstore. So he shared it with his boss, and his boss says, you know, Jeff, let's go on a walk. They went on a 2-hour walk, and after Jeff shared the whole idea, the boss says, I actually think that's a really good idea, but a much better idea for someone who doesn't have a stable job. And Jeff said, okay. And he said, just give it 24 hours and just go home and think about it and let's talk. So Jeff went home, and Jeff Bezos talks about the regret minimization framework. And the way it works is very simple. What you do is you project yourself into the future. Like you time travel, okay? You mentally imagine you are now 80 years old. For those of you guys who are 80, imagine you're 90 years old, okay? And you ask, would I regret not taking this decision, not going for this calculated risk with lots of ambiguity around it? And if you decide in that moment, if you know that your 80-year-old self would regret not having at least tried, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? You fail. Okay, I fail, I'm still alive, I'm still breathing, then you know you need to do it. And that is what drove him to make that decision. Now here's what's interesting, a lot of people don't know this part. For the company that Jeff worked for, you get this bonus every year, like this huge chunk of money into your bank account. He was about half the year into getting the bonus. He had to stay for another half year to get the bonus. So the fact that if he left now, he would miss out on that bonus made it harder to make the decision. You see that right there? That is a perfect example of short-term thinking where this immediate opportunity, this fruit right here makes us want to grab the fruit and eat it. This is starting to sound like the Garden of Eden. Instead of thinking, wait, where would I like to be tomorrow? What if I took the fruit and instead of eating it, I plant the seeds and I have a whole freaking orchard of fruit that I can pull from. You see, what happens is when you use the regret minimization framework, I know it's a nerdy term, it allows your brain to think more clearly and not allow short-term rewards eclipse you from the much greater long-term benefits if you're willing to take risk and live in the ambiguity as you move forward to live your dreams. Having worked with tens of thousands of students, what I just shared you, these 7 principles have been extracted and condensed from so many hours of helping people and helping myself. My only challenge to you now is what are you gonna do about it? If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more videos like this. And if you have any questions below I can help you with, comment below. You have an awesome day.